Now let me just say that one more time. They are Aryans by birth. They are Aryans by birth. You're going to have to research them, because if I come right out and say it, I'll get in deep trouble. Okay, Aryans by birth.
They're not.
They're also there with extraterrestrials. Between the moon and our Earth, there are 18,000 grays here. There are only apparently 2,000 real grays left. All the rest are clones. They're robots. They're organic robots. And microprocessors are grown in their head. And they are controlled by some kind of a radio frequency. Now, the Greys and the Orions also have this technology to absolutely replicate and duplicate a human being. And for those of you who are familiar with the old Dr. Beater stuff, before he was killed in a parking lot in Dallas, I would suggest you go back and re-research that information. Except he was told the Russians were doing it, and they're not doing it. It's extraterrestrials who are doing it, who are trying to undermine the free will of those of us on the surface of the planet. Because this is our home. Okay, Mars. I'm still working on more information, but I'm going to show you a couple things and share things that I've been told about Mars. The first thing I want to share with you about Mars is that, again, everything we've been told about it is wrong. Mars' atmosphere is full of oxygen and ozone. In fact, the local San Diego paper on March 23rd of 1995 flat out said that in 1971 they had discovered it was full of ozone. Well, folks, you go to the library and you pull out any book that you can find on Mars, written by any scientist on this planet, and they don't say virtually anything about ozone. But it's there. We're told that that its actual gravity is about 1%. Well, if the atmosphere is so feeble, then how is it that it can have 300-mile-an-hour wind storms? If the atmosphere is so feeble, how is it that it can hold water at both poles? Next slide. Let's go next slide. I'm sorry. At both poles. And there's water at both poles. This is water, H2O. We're told that the Martian atmosphere never gets above 129 degrees below zero. And yet, this past February or March, you had a picture from the Hubble telescope of Mars and the North Polar Cap melting. Now, I'm not a scientist, but tell me, how does water melt at 129 degrees below zero? I'm open. I'm open. Okay, apparently Mars has been inhabited off and on as a base, as a small colony, as a staging point for extraterrestrials who are exploring and leaving our galaxy to go to another for 3.8 billion years. The ruins that Richard shows and other people, they're tombs. This is what I'm told, that they're tombs. And that there's far more there than's being shown. Most of it's been buried. Because during a war previous 69 million years ago, Mars was almost exactly like Earth. In fact, Mornay has said that many of the animal life that was on Mars is on Earth. That when we get there, when we as a race get there, publicly get there, we will find that there were dinosaurs. Many of the exact same animals and mammals and reptiles were on both our worlds. And that Mars had a totally different orbit. It was literally pulled from its orbit, and as it was pulled from its orbit by 19 million miles, it rolled like a ball 3 times. And the water that was here just moved everything. And that it's been reactivated. It was reactivated in 1989. Now, I did a lecture in Dallas, and I've been talking about this information for several years now. And I was told that in 1989, Orion troops landed on Mars and took over colonies that were settled, created there by Terrans, us, by human beings from Earth. They came in and just took it over. Now, this gentleman who approached me, and I'm just sharing this with you, said that his best friend's brother worked for Central Intelligence and was a director of NASA and resigned in 1991. He said that his brother told him that the meetings on Malta, on the ship, just off the coast of Malta between Gorbachev and Bush, were about what was going on Mars and that they were scared to death. Now, folks, I got to share this with you. The beings that are here from Orion, they're into control. They're into control. There is no such thing as self-rule in the Orion Empire. There is a hierarchy. Now, if you look at our planet, if you really look at what's going on our planet right now, there's only one nation that truly cherishes self-rule and actually has real experience in self-rule. That's the U.S. And we're armed to the hilt because our Constitution says we can be. This is why the focus is on destroying the United States of America. Okay, the UN, the World Order, all of that stuff, they're all taking orders from ETs, and they're scared to death. But they're willing to sacrifice this nation. They're willing to kill 3.5 to 4 billion people to maintain their place as the new priesthoods. This is Sumeria, this is Egypt all over again, but on a much grander scale, because now you've got 6 billion people living here. If the people of this nation surrender the Bill of Rights by 1998, folks, you will no longer have the United States of America. That's a guarantee. That's a guarantee. This is the reason the Andromedans are coming back, because 317 years into our future, our galaxy is in tyranny. And they have traced, through time travel, all the events that lead to the single point that shifted the energy from free to tyranny. Now, we're not just talking about free, we're talking also on a spiritual level. Suppression, oppression of soul, of spirit. And they have traced it all back to our solar system, which is why many races are coming back and saying, hey, wait, this isn't going to work. Because 317 years in our future, there's tyranny here. There is no such thing as freedom. And we somehow are dead square in the middle of this thing. Sorry for the news. But we are. This is the only reason they're bothering. Next slide. Save your questions, please. Write them down, okay? You all know about the face, or most of you, I'm sure, do. There is a lot more in this area that needs to be explored. Those of you who are researchers, please get pictures of not the face, but go north, where the mountains are. Okay? There are ruins everywhere. There are domes collapsed on top of themselves. In fact, there's one that's still there that looks like Texas Stadium in Dallas with the opening in the middle. It's there. It's there. Next slide. I just put this in because everybody's interested in the physics. I'm not a physics person. But it is important because it all matches up. You know, there are symbols in all of this. In fact, I want to share with you about crop circles. I've asked a lot of questions about crop circles, and I'm told that there are 2 groups leaving crop circles. There's the Andromedan Council, which is made up of 139 different races, which is putting encoded information into the Earth to help stabilize it from Earth calamities. They're trying to buy us time. And many of the other crop circles that are being left by Orion. Now, where are they coming from? They're coming from Hale-Bopp. Hale-Bopp. Hale-Bopp is not a comet.